Guys, we're at it again, man. Another wonderful day in our beautiful America. Chalo, how's everything going over there where you're at, my brother?
Hey, can you believe there's a 20-degree change in weather from yesterday to today? It was 104 and it was around 83 today.
So, which one do you like the best?
Ahora and please God, no earthquakes so far today, but we were hit with a swarm of earthquakes, a bunch of them.
Yeah, I know. I read about that over here in Florida. Big Sean, how you doing over there? How's the weather over there? What's going on, man?
Good, good. It was raining the last couple of days, and then there was a tornado that touched down in Virginia Beach. Just a little short one, but man, it tore up some houses. But
I I saw that, man. It sounds like that tornado hit you and Benny. It sounds like Benny shaved and you shaved too, brother. You guys look a lot younger now, man.
I think I'm better looking than Benny, though.
Cara,
Okay, all right. And
cara de
Benny, how you
nalgas,
doing, brother? Well, go ahead. Okay.
de nalgas.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Benny,
it's,
how you
it's,
doing?
he said it was a short but powerful tornado that they call it Tornado Benny because he's
Yeah,
short and powerful.
short and
No mames,
powerful.
güey.
Hey, Benny,
Es muy
Benny.
temprano.
I know you haven't been feeling well, Benny. You came back with a cold from the conference, but how you doing today, brother? Doing great?
I'm
Doing
doing good.
better?
I'm doing much better.
All
Good,
right,
good.
good. Hey guys, before we get started, we have a great guest today, and Benny's going to take the ball and run with it. But let me just tell you something, man. First of all, I want to throw a shout out to three people. First of all, to the Cascada restaurant. If you're looking for the best lengua, and us Mexicans, we know what that is. It's a cow tongue. I'll tell you, when they cook it Mexican style with salsita and chilaquiles, if you live in the Inland Empire, go to La Cascada restaurant. I was there Saturday morning. I'm telling you, best lengua in the world. That, and also to my two sisters who are visiting us from San Diego. One's from San Diego, the other one from Rancho Cucamonga. They're here with us. They're watching the show live. Rachel and Anna, I love you. Bienvenidos, and they're big followers of ours, guys. Thank you for watching. And guys, but before I hand it over to Benny to run with it, last week at that conference, my God, we met some outstanding people, man, some legends in law enforcement. And you know, the best thing about it is the majority of the legends that were there are going to be on the show with us. You know, I mean, Pac-Man, and Benny will talk a lot about them every week as they come along. Steve Duncan, Devin Hawks, Brian Perry again. So many legends that are going to be on our show. I'm really excited. The next couple of weeks, we got great people. Benny and I met some outstanding people. And you know, we also met the Camarena sisters. Kiki Camarena, his sisters, we met them, and they're going to be on our show also. They're at least one of them I know is. We're excited, man. And I know you have some history with them, right, Chalo? Because they
Yes, I
talked
do.
about you a lot.
Yes, I
Yeah,
do. Born and raised here in Calexico, just like me.
yeah. Well, they had great
We're
things to say about
Calesianos.
you.
We're
Caliciano,
Calesianos, just like Benny.
exactly. Yeah. But oh man, we're excited. With that said, I just wanted to throw a shout out to everybody that attended that conference. We were in San Jose, California. I'm telling you, outstanding conference. But guys, it ain't about me. It's about our guests. And Benny, here's the baton, homeboy. Run with it. Listo.
Hey, today we have retired Border Patrol agent Joe Preciado. Uh, he entered duty for the United States Border Patrol on September 11th, 1988. During his first 10 years as a Border Patrol agent, Agent Preciado patrolled the southwest border in San Luis, Arizona. During that time, he regularly encountered human smugglers, transportation cells, disease subjects, abandoned drug loads, and drug mules while patrolling the areas of the South Arizona Sonoran Desert. In 1998, he was assigned to the Southwest Border Alliance Narcotics Task Force, where he began monitoring narcotics and gang activity. During an arrest he made, he encountered two heavily tattooed Honduran nationals who were members of the White Fence LA street gang. He would begin many encounters with what we now know as transnational gang members. In 1999, Agent Preciado was promoted to the Yuma Sector Intelligence Unit. His desire quickly turned into investigating criminal street gangs and their members. The main focus was street and prison gangs and transnational gangs with their distinctive tattoos. He started identifying them by the tattoos. Over the years, he has provided training on border violence occurring along the southwest border for numerous conferences and agencies throughout the United States. He has also instructed internationally as a regular law enforcement instructor at the International Law Enforcement Training Academy, also known as ILEA, in El Salvador and El Salvador. He has also provided training to various law enforcement agencies in Mexico, Honduras, and Brazil. Additionally, he has provided information regarding his experience, which has appeared in law enforcement and correctional publications. Joe retired in January 11th, 2014. Thanks for your service, Joe, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Benny. I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. And, it's just a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Welcome,
Hey, Joe,
brother.
where did you grow up and what was your upbringing? Did you play sports or what career did you want to pursue as a child?
Well, basically, we'll start from the beginning. I was born in L.A., East L.A. I had my two parents. One was from, they were both from the Maravillas, El Hoyo. And so I kind of grew up in that East LA area. I would go back and forth, but my main upbringing was in Fontana, California, affectionately known as been called Felony Flats. And, I still refer to it as Felony Flats. But, yeah, that's where I grew up at. And, I just had going through high school and all that, I started to play sports. I played ball, played a little baseball. I was able to, parlay that into a college scholarship on baseball. And I went off and played for probably two of the best schools in Southern California. One was Riverside City College, and the other one was the University of Laverne. We're a small school, NAI school, but we were very, very powerful playing the schools of Arizona State, University of Arizona, Nevada, Las Vegas, Fresno, and schools like that. But, we were just a smaller school. And with that kind of took me on to go on to Mexico. I played down in Mexico after I got hurt my senior year. I was looking at the draft there, and the Twins were very interested. Broke my hand, and they told me the best place for me to go get rehabilitated and get better would be go down to Mexico and play. So basically I went down in 1979, 80 and played in Mexico until about 1985. And during that time, I played on the Mexican League, their AAA league, Winter League, which is a Pacific Coast League. Played with a lot of guys that went through the big leagues there. And my main focus was trying to get back here to the States and play. But, it just never materialized. Played a little winter ball in Colombia, Cartagena. But, that was my passion. That's where I wanted to go. And when that didn't happen, I was already married, and I saw the writing on the wall and just basically came home and took a job in Riverside, California.
Hey, Joe, can you tell us about your impressive career, man, as a Border Patrol agent? Start by telling us about your career and experience. Tell us about the hiring process back then, the requirements, your academy experience, the training, everything you guys have to go through back in the day to become an agent.
Right. I went in, as you said before, I started in September 11th, 1988 was my EOD date. And I really didn't know that much about the patrol at that time, other than what I knew at the academy. I kind of went in blind, but the only reason I went in because I was working for the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department in Nogales, in Santa Cruz County. And recently moving there to Nogales, I really didn't know anybody, and befriended actually the sheriff, and he brought me on to his agency. And I started out as a jailer. And from there, I kind of went on to the Alita Academy in Arizona. But once I was hired on Border Patrol, I left the academy and went to Border Patrol Academy, which was in September of '88. It was something I know I wasn't going to get rich at, because the starting salary was $15,000 a year. So it was something that, I just had to make do and get along with that type of an income, already having 2 children and a third on the way. Going into the patrol, into the hiring process, I basically waited 2 years before I was hired. And that was the norm back then. Put in your application, send something back, you get it back like 3-4 months later, do another process, same thing. It took almost 2 years to get on. Then I was back to the academy, went off about 18 and a half weeks it took to get out. And to me, it was very stressful because of not so much of the language, because Spanish is a requirement. You have to learn the Spanish language and come out of there at a 70th percentile throughout those 18 weeks and a half weeks. My problem was the law part, not knowing really how to study, having any type of study habits. I had to lean on a couple other agents to get my study habits down, and actually came out okay after the 18 and a half weeks, which was great, because, I went back to my assigned duty area, which was Yuma, Arizona. Well, once I get there, they tell me, okay, great, you guys are here. You guys are trainees, boom, boom, boom. I'm thinking, man, everything is great. I'm loving life. I'm getting a paycheck, this, and that. And then they tell me, report to Post Academy the next couple of days. When I get to Post Academy, they tell us, hey, you need to start, you're going to have Post Academy training once a week. And it's at the 6.5 month mark, you're going to have another test. And I said, what? I don't have another test. I already passed a test. He said, no, you got to do a 6.5 month test. If you don't pass that with 70% in Spanish, 70% in law, you're out. You wash out. There's no looking back. There's no extras. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm doing it. Did that, passed it, it was okay. They said, perfect. I'm thinking, man, I'm fat, dumb, and happy getting a government job, Fed job. I'm working the line, chasing illegal aliens all over the place. Then they tell me, hey, you know what? You got a 10-month exam. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Same thing, same drill. 70% Spanish, 70% on law. By the grace of God, I passed them both. And, I had to go, and I still had that year to make it. I had to finish out the year before I was okay. So, I did. Everything came out good, and, the rest was history. I worked the line, meaning on the border between San Luis and to the East Desert, almost towards the Ajo, Arizona area, which we very seldom went that far. But there we looked for entries across the fence, cars driving in illegally, groups that would come in. And at that time, there was no wall. There was no border line, a wall that we see today. It was basically 3 strands of barbed wire. So anywhere you could crawl through, make it through, go across. And, once that happened, we would give chase. We would chase foot sign, meaning the footprints that would be left in the sand. It could be anywhere from 2 to 15, groups of 15. And we'd chase them it could be up a mile, up to 20 miles, depending on how far we had to go. They could last a whole shift. But those days were fun. It was a lot of fun during that time.
Wow.
Go ahead,
Man.
Carlo.
No. Yeah, I'm just. I can actually everything you described, Joe. I can actually see it in my head because living in Calexico, we would see Border Patrol, doing their job all the time. But you know what, man? Hats off, man, Joe. It's this is not part of my this question now. So, Joe, so I know, we know that you have worked on several Border Patrol task forces. Can you tell us about your experience when assigned to the Southwest Border Alliance Narcotics Task Force?
Yeah, that Southwest Border Alliance, I went in, I believe it was in 1998. I went from the uniform into Southwest Border Alliance, and which that was a small town of Yuma County, um, drug task force, which mainly dealt with street sales, street drugs and things of that nature. Nothing real big. Anything really big, anything bigger would get turned over to DEA. But that Southwest border alliance did a lot of damage, did a lot of buys, reversals, stash houses, and things like that, which was a lot of fun. And because, like I said, it wasn't border patrol work, which I was used to, basically chasing, bringing aliens down. It was something different that I really enjoyed on the surveillance, writing up warrants, and making things happen and presenting the warrants, to the judge to get them signed off. So it was something I got a taste of, the plainclothes work, and I said, you know what, this is too good to let go. I was approached by customs investigators at that time, see if I wanted to come over, but I really did, and the rack with Steve Arizaga at that time, and I really appreciate him approaching me, saying, "Hey, you know what? If I wanted to come over," but my loyalty was to the patrol, and I stayed back with them.
Joe, I mean, my hat's off, bro, man. The loyalty, I'm pretty sure we've all been pulled to try to go to other agencies, and it looks better, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side, right?
Right.
And I think you were meant to be a border patrol agent, and I'm glad you stuck around there, man.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And in the long run, it was the good move. And I still worked with customs at that time, which evolved into ICE, which evolved into HSI. So, I still had a hand in it and working with them on different things, different cases, or, anything they really needed.
Yeah, and the politics on that is a lot worse than in the border patrol, man. I mean, from experience, I see the CBP component of it sometimes being a little bit harder than when you guys on the border patrol. You guys had more leeway. I mean, I got to work together with some of the homies on border patrol from the CAC station, and then from sector too. And we used to do a lot of stuff where we'd pair up, and before they told us that we couldn't do it anymore, but we go out there and cruise Calexico. It was at one point it was a heroin capital of the world. That's what they used to call it per capita. And I pair up with Big Ernie Hernandez and them, and we go out there. I always like pairing up with Big Ernie because we got along great. So we would go out there. They would do the approach, and then we always found dope on these guys, and then we were able to flip them, and they would help us out, in other cases. But I mean,
right,
it's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Well, and that was a good thing about the guys on the patrol, and even though we were told, hey, you know what, hands off over here, over there. We'd always work on the down low with other people and get the job done. It was just the political stuff was above our rank, but we were able to work, with the guys on the troop, the boots on the ground and making things happen.
Yeah. Joe, I mean, my hat's off, bro. I mean, to me, the big green mean machine has always saved my butt when I was on patrol. When I was one officer and we had 14 bars, or two officers, 14 bars, man, is I would ask border patrol guys to always scan our channel, and they would follow me to calls, man, because they knew that I was needed. It was a really rough town down here at one point. And to this date, I mean, border patrol does a lot. I mean, during the Easter quake, border patrol, I mean, by far, I mean, we asked you guys to lock down our downtown area, and border patrol did it. But let me move on to the next question, bro, because then I can feel David looking at me kind of. And Benny's probably shaking his head, or he probably fell asleep on me. Hey, so Joe, I mean, as you can see, I'm a real casual guy. I'm a jokester, and I tell you why I'm a jokester, bro.
Sure.
We've gone through so much stuff like you have, bro, that we gotta laugh at stuff and just try to make it as fun as we can. Hey, here we go, Joe. So, in your experience with the Department of Homeland, actually Department of Homeland Security, I guess you guys with the Nebraska, is it Avenue Complex, NAC? What exactly is that?
That was back in like 2003. I was assigned that in DC. They called it the Knack, and that was excuse me, and that was basically what it was. They called it the swamp at that time. But you would go into the Nebraska Center, and what it was the old, where I can't remember the name of it, but they deciphered the some machine the Germans were using, or so I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was in those buildings that we were working in. And inside that, it was housed was every three-letter agency you could think of, from NSA to FBI to CIA to DOD to, um, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, ATF, CBP, Border Patrol. Anybody you could think of were in that room. It was just one huge room with everybody at a desk, and they were sitting across from each other. And what it was is everything that was going on during that time, and that was, if you remember, that was the time of the Twin Towers. So that was stood up basically to spread intel as quickly as possible amongst all the agencies. And we were working there. We'd work 12-hour shifts, and we would interact with any of the other agencies, obviously by talking to anybody, because you're just at arm's reach of NSA or CIA or anybody like that if you needed information. And we were basically responsible for the daily presidential brief. So that was done every morning, a compilation of things that happened the night before, the day before, and given it to, at that time would have been President Bush, to be read during his briefing that morning. So and it would be given to him by a DHS secretary. I can't remember who it was at that time, but anyway, he would be the one that we would send the brief to, and he would brief the president on a daily basis. So that's what that the Knack was used for at that time.
Hey, Joe, so is it equivalent to JTTF today, Joint Terrorist Task Force?
It would, but it would be like on steroids. I mean,
really? Wow.
It was huge. Like, are you talking about the one down in El Paso down there?
Yeah, they have one in El Paso, one in San Diego. All major cities have them, and it's multi-agencies.
Yeah, David, this thing was huge. I mean,
really,
it was just ungodly. That's how many people there were. In talking about baseball wise, you would need a cutoff to hit the other end of the table.
Really.
Yeah.
And Joe, how were you selected for that? I mean, it sounds like that's the best of the best, the cream of the crop. How were you selected for that?
At that time I was in Intel, and with my background in the gang stuff and the Hispanic culture, they figured, hey, you know what, I might be a good fit down there because of my knowledge is basically of all over, down in Mexico, from playing down there, from California, and knowing on what's going on. So they knew I was kind of in tune with a lot of the things that were happening south of the border, and I could kind of relate to places like Tamaulipas, Chiapas, and that kind of stuff.
Wow. Excellent.
Hey, Joe, so was it pretty much Epic? Is that the current Epic now?
No, Epic was always there. The El Paso Intelligence Center that was in El Paso. Yeah, the Epic was still there, but no, it was nothing. It was completely different.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, real quick, so are they still operating out of that Knack complex for the same thing purposes, or did they?
I don't believe so. I believe they've moved from there. If I'm not, because it was a DHS, Department of Homeland Security's headquarters. Yeah. And I'm not sure if they moved from there or not.
Yeah. Because I looked it up, and it looks like that's. I mean, they did a lot of stuff there. Like they're trying to break that Enigma code.
There you go. That's what I was thinking of, the Enigma machine. Yes.
Yeah.
They broke that. Yes.
Wow, that's a big place. It's huge.
No, that's huge. It's huge. Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, the security was phenomenal just to get on the grounds. I mean, you had to go through like 2 or 3 checkpoints with badges, IDs, and every time you had to have your stuff with you. So
it's like going into a prison. It takes you like four checkpoints in, 4 checkpoints out, or something.
Yes, the equivalent, just about. Yeah. And then to get on the elevators too, you had to show your ID, and it would tell you if you were eligible to go there, or if there was a skiff on site. So if you had your docs to go into the skiff, you were able to do that.
Wow.
So you probably had to have top secret, right?
Yes,
Clearance.
You either had to have a top secret or a SCI, I believe it was called.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been above the top secret. Yes, I did carry a security clearance through my career.
Excellent. Go ahead, Big Sean.
Hey, thanks, Joe, for being with us. And I concur with Chalo. You know, working our Southern Division, we worked very closely with Border Patrol. And sometimes when you're in the mix and all of a sudden you see that big green vehicle come down, you know, you're thanking the Lord that they're there. Anyways, what was your experience with the ICE National Gang Unit in Washington, D.C. and the FBI Safe Street Gang Task Force in Yuma, Arizona? And what exactly is the ICE National Gang Unit in Washington, D.C.?
Okay, the ICE National Gang Unit was named ICE National Gang Unit at that time. I believe it's since they've changed. They went to HSI Investigations. So, but at that time it was ICE National Gang Task Force, or the headquarters, and that was in 2008. I believe I was there. Yes, 2008. I was basically handpicked by Chief Colburn of the Border Patrol, who was up there. I believe he was a deputy chief at that time at Washington, in D.C. at headquarters. And he requested that it was one of those deals you were voluntold and requested, and you went. And I went up there, and basically I was told, you know, hey, you're going to report directly to me, nobody else. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I know the patrol. I'm thinking like, you know, this ain't going to go good, because, you know, I'm just going up there to work, and people are going to want to know what I'm doing there. And I was basically, you know, it's a need to know basis. And sometimes people don't understand that, and they kind of listen to it begrudgingly. And well, anyway, long story short, I was from there at headquarters. He told me this was my assignment to go over to ICE, the National Gang Unit, and have a seat there and work with them and try and bring Border Patrol and ICE together on a national platform on gangs, because ICE, HSI had their database, had their own database, just kind of like California had their database, Cal Gangs. ICE had one, and we weren't able to have access to it because, for one, you know, obviously we weren't our investigators. But the second thing was, we did catch probably the majority of gang members coming across the line illegally, which were gang affiliated, you know, illegal aliens coming through, not only from Mexico, but from Central American countries and even Russia. I mean, at that time, you know, we were having a lot of illegal aliens coming through that were tatted up. And I believe way back when, and that's why I kind of got interested in the gangs, because back in 1998, 99, when I saw the two white fence gang members from Honduras, I told them straight up, I said, what are you guys doing here? And they said, you know, like, they didn't understand. I said, well, you guys are, you know, claiming white fence. And that's a gang, you know, East LA gang. I believe I want to say Boyle Heights area, if I'm not mistaken. And then they told me, he says, hey, you know what? We came in years ago. We clicked up, jumped in, and, you know, we're white fence gangsters. They took it back home. And to me, that's where the transnational starts, to where the white fence went back home. And they're not only Mara Salvatrucha or 18th Streeters. You got other gangs now, especially now, because of the deportation and the people coming back and coming across. But going to the ICE National Unit, I would put together reports saying, hey, you know what, these are the guys that we need to look at. These are things that are Border Patrol initiated. This is why we should have access to your national gang unit. And, you know, I was there for like, I don't know, I was there for probably about 8 months, I believe. The longest 8 months I've ever been. I left my family, I left them here, left in November, got back in May, something like that. And, you know, basically just kind of got everybody to play together in the sandbox. And if you know the feds, it's hard to get people to play together in the sandbox.
Hey, a quick shout out real quick to Alexis Santos, Robert Lopez. Bob, we're going to have you on soon. Raquel Valverde, my sister, and Gonzalo Chalo, who loves David too. Gracias, Chalo. and William Johnson, Joe Preciado, my hero, and to Louis Kornick, very incredible, Joe. I had no idea about your adventures as a Border Patrol agent. Thumbs up, brother. Welcome to the show, Louis. Hopefully you're going to subscribe and keep following us. Thank you. Go ahead, Sean, your next question.
Hey, I just want to throw out there, thanks, Louis, for looking in. He was my catcher when we were kids.
Really?
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
Man. Yeah. And then we have Marlene Gleam. Way to go, my padre Joe. Right on. Is that your daughter, Joe?
That's my daughter.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for watching, Marlene. Gracias. Go ahead, Big Shot.
Hey, real quick, like, hey, Joe. So, since family came up here, and Sean, like, I hate to take your. I'm not gonna ask your question, but well, maybe I can ask it towards the end.
Oh. Yeah. Well, you know what, Sean? Go ahead and unmute your mic, Sean.
All right, I got it. Oh, I just pulled a Benny. Okay. It just must be the mustache thing going on.
Pulling a Benny. All right.
Hey, Joe, was it hard to work with local agencies?
You know, it wasn't. And I get back to the part of the, you had mentioned start about the politics and things like that. And that's all at the upper level, at the above the working guys level. We all want to work together, be it Border Patrol, be it Customs, be it IIs on the line, the sheriffs, the PD. We all, the Arizona State Troopers, get them. We all worked together very good. The guys on the ground. We didn't really worry about the stuff above. We let the managers fight that out. Because you know what, when the dope came in or when the dope got taken out or taken down, man, everybody was happy. As long as everybody got the credit, boy, everybody was happy. So we didn't really let the politics bother the troops on the ground.
Shout out to Richard Craig. You tell them, Burger, whatever that means, brother. You tell them, Burger, something about a hamburger or something.
That's my partner. Yeah, that's my partner.
All right. Hey, Joe, all of us here on the screen, we have over 30 plus years in law enforcement. We all watch movies. For whatever reason, I don't know if doctors watch doctors' movies. I know Vietnam vets don't watch Vietnam movies. It's very rare that I watch a cop movie, but there's one movie that caught my attention in a watch. And those of you that are watching the show, if you want to see a movie that I truly believe is probably one of the best depiction of a police officer, whether you're in Texas, LA, or San Diego, or maybe not Fort Lauderdale, but definitely Southern California, I'll tell you, in to watch, great movie. The reason why I mention it, Joe, is it correlates with this question. There's a scene in there where they go inside the house and they find all the mummies. They find the Santa Muerte statue, and the wall is full of dead bodies. As they come out to call for the sergeant, call for the troops to get there, all of a sudden the feds arrive, and I don't think that they were. I think they were ICE or something. They get there, and all of a sudden they say, "Stay away." They ask them why. They said it's a need-to-know basis. With that said, did you find it difficult, or was it easy to share that type of intelligence with local law enforcement, municipal police departments, whether they're large or small in numbers?
That movie, that's funny you should mention that scene, because that of the whole movie, I realistically, everything was going great on that. I liked the movie. And then when that part came in, I'm thinking like, wow, why did that happen? Or why would they go in and do things like that? I don't know. There's territorial areas. Back in the day, we'd tell people, hey, you know what, stay out of the area, a certain area, but we would share intel. We were very, very open, because basically we controlled the border area. If things were going to happen, we wanted people to know that, hey, we're working down there. And the same thing. And we had, I can't remember what it was called, but, if you're doing any type of a job or any type of a operation, you'd put it into the certain database so people would know who's working. So it was an open book.
So you guys were using National Information Network, right? The NIN.
Yeah, Nin. Yeah.
You
No,
guys were NIN? No.
basically no. It was something like that, Charlo, but it was
Yeah.
a local. It was a local
Oh,
Department
okay.
of Public Safety
Okay.
of
Okay.
all our agencies that worked within the Yuma County.
Oh, okay. Yuma
But
County.
it
Yeah.
was basically the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
It was,
And the funny thing, Joe, is the only people that really NIN stuff were the street cops, county, state, and border patrol, because DEA and FBI, they never NIN shit, and so we would always have we had a couple of blue on blue that could have gone really bad had we not known each other. And so I know Border Patrol was always good. Their intel people always would tell us what they were doing, if they were in town, if we wanted to join them. Actually, they would ask them, if we could borrow a radio, and we give them a radio just in case it got, to the point where, they needed help. They had a radio and stuff like that. So we knew, at least the sergeants and above knew what was going on if intel, shared it with us.
Yeah, and and I do remember when we worked down there in Calexico, we worked Hold the Line.
Yeah.
We had radios with the Mexican frequency on it.
Yep.
To be able to talk to our counterparts on the other side of the fence, just in case things went bad. We were able to say, "Hey, ahí te van," or "Hey, there they're going." So it helped, and then, there's a trust issue, and it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, that was your Bravo unit, right? Working down there.
Yes.
Hey, Chalo, it's funny you say that. San Diego, we had the same problem until all the chiefs, including the SACs, the RACs from DEA, ATF, FBI, got together with our chiefs of police because we had a couple of blue on blue. After that, they signed an agreement, and it was mandatory for everybody, whether you're DEA, ATF, or National City Police, or San Diego PD, you had to check NIN. And if you didn't, then it'd be a violation of their policy. It actually became part of everybody's policy. So you know what? I'm a firm believer in checking NIN. With that said, Joe, my last question, not for tonight, but that I have assigned is how satisfying was it taking down top level Mexican drug cartels or top level smuggling groups? How satisfying was it for you and your partners?
Well, a lot of the stuff, we had a lot of smugglers and things at that time. And I'm talking back to when I was still in 2012, from 98 up until I retired. There were small groups that were working along the line, and just to disrupt them was the best thing. And we were able to use different means to see where they were at, and they had no idea how we knew where they were coming from. It was just satisfying to see them running, and just making it work. And once again, we were working with the line agents, the guys in green, our intel guys, guys from customs, depending on what the operation was. But no, it was very satisfying to see them very confused on how we would work the river and be in places that they didn't think we were at, especially along the, which would have been the West Desert, which would have been Calexico's East Desert. Out there, it was just open. It was crazy. And to be able to knock those guys down by using different means that, I really don't want to throw out there, but I'm sure you can understand what type of, almost like a black ops type of thing, to be able to know where they're at any given time. So, yeah, it was rewarding. It was rewarding to see, to shut them down and knowing, they moved on. They might have moved down the road down towards Tucson, but it was, even though it was work, it was still fun.
Hey, Joe, which nationalities besides Mexican nationals did you encounter coming across the line?
Well, when I retired back in 2014, we were seeing, your run-of-the-mill. We were seeing, Mexicans. We're seeing all the Guatemalans, Hondurans, El Salvadorians, people from some South America. We would see some from the Middle East, and every once in a while you get a Cuban, every once in a while, but it definitely is not like it is now. I mean, you're getting every flavor, every country. We would get Chinese come in back then, Koreans, so it was it's about 10 different nationalities, but now you're talking hundreds. They're just they're just know that I hate to say it, but the line's open. Just walk through and just take a number. We need to, I'm sure you'll have a question about this a little bit later, maybe about the wall, or I call it the line, the fence.
Yeah.
But that's what we were encountering back then.
I remember one night working with the BP guys. We were monitoring the BP frequency, and a guy got into a chase in a car, and it crashed, and there was a bailout, and you hear all the sirens going, and everybody's heading toward his location. Then he gets on the air and he goes, "Hey, can anybody come over here and help me out? I got 6 North Koreans." And all you heard, all the sirens just dropped right then and there, and all you heard was crickets. The poor guy had to process them all by himself.
Oh yeah.
And that's a lot of paperwork.
And depending on what year that was, that could have been a nightmare. Because
that was in the 80s. Yeah.
Oh no, you're still talking Swintech typewriters and hand erasable ribbon and
reports.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that was a nightmare. That guy's probably still there processing.
He's still doing the paperwork.
He's about to finish his last one today. Hey, Joe, real quick, man. So I had a lot of fun. I was assigned to the housing authority. We had a contract with them, and I remember if you came to Calexico, they had housing sites all over town, and we had some close to the border, right off of Fifth and Beach Street. And so I had to walk down, and I would walk down, do my patrol stuff like that. It was part of my duties, and I worked nights. So one day I ran into this group, man, huge group, about at least 20 bodies, dude. And during that time, we were getting hit from the east side of Calexico, and actually Border Patrol had a bus that would come and pick up the bodies. So we would hold up, and in that group of 20, we had like 4 Chinese. And I remember the agent got off, and he comes in, and he's all like, man, you got a lot of people. So yeah, he goes, yeah, we've been following them, but we lost. It's a bigger group. He goes, they came in here. So then one of the guys goes, man, he goes, if you go to Mexicali to go eat Chinese food, he goes, I would say don't go for the next 2 months, because they know that you're the one that stopped these 4 guys. He goes, you know how expensive it is to get these guys across? I said, I don't know. He goes, they're paying $10,000 a head. That was back in 94, 1994, 95. I was like, holy moly. So I was like, wow, very, very dangerous. I didn't know how dangerous it was, man, dealing with these guys.
Yeah, I remember, Chalo, I'm working. There used to be a lookout post there along the fence on the east side. And an agent, all he would do is look straight east, and he would call out groups coming across. Yeah. And they would have agents on that street, in the alley, and the street behind it, and the street behind that, because there's no way you could catch them all. All they would tell you is knock down and catch what you can, Yeah.
As technology evolved, though, you guys moved north to Levine Road and 98 right there, and you guys had your night vision out there. And I go out there during graveyard. I go up there, and they'll let me watch the cameras, and you could see all the bodies up on the fields. Right. And they would hide between the fields, and you just wait until they came out, and they would start. I mean, I only saw 2 bodies, and then before you know it, it's like, oh yeah, we got 8. I said, where the hell from? I only saw 2 bodies. Oh no, they just mixed. The heat picked them up, and it only looked like 2, but there were 8. I was like,
no, they multiply when they're out there.
They're like cockroaches.
Yeah.
Hey Joe, did you, when you first started working the border, and through the years that you were down along there, did you see an increase in drug trafficking from when you first started toward the end? And what kind of what groups were bringing them across?
I did. I did see an increase from, let's say, when I was on the line to when I left. The loads were a little bit bigger. They were bringing loads in through the East Desert, 3,200 pounds a pop. They would drive a Suburban through, which would be filled to dope. That thing, the only place was open was just the seat for the driver. And And there was times that, the seat was taken out and they'd put, 2 bales, and he'd be sitting on 2 bales of weed just to drive it in. So, and then the loads continuously, got bigger. Then it kind of went off, started to die off. Then we started seeing an influx of meth. The meth started coming in, and that was starting to get picked up, excuse me, at the checkpoints. But a lot of that stuff was coming in, I hate to say it, but at the ports of entry, coming in the tractor trailers, the heroin, things like that. And obviously, I think we all know now what the big problem is the fentanyl. And, that's coming in. That's a big problem with people that are just walking across doing the asylum deal coming across the line. How many of those aren't bringing in, fentanyl pills in backpacks or strapping it on their body and coming in? So, I mean, it's something that needs to be addressed, and we need to look at that and put a stop to those opening on the fence. But it's changed, but it's still dope. We're not seeing as much weed coming in like we did.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of the meth and the fentanyl and the heroin still coming.
Hey, Joe, real quick, like, so on the here in Calexico, Border Patrol finally got smart, and they got the permission from the housing that's right up against the fence, and they put these really big metal fences because they used to throw the kettleballs across. So
Right.
now when you throw the kettleballs, you got to throw them at a higher angle to try to make it into that housing development, and then the people in the housing development will pick up the dope and take it inside their homes. And so by the time Border Patrol and we got there, that stuff was disappeared. And so, I mean, I had a really good relationship with Border Patrol because of most of the guys or personnel that were journeymen when I first started my career, and as we actually grew up and we all went up the ranks. With one being Carla Provost, who ended up being your Border Patrol chief,
Right.
and it was so funny the fact that I would tell sector people, it's like, we need to do this while we have to run it to Washington. I said, want me to call Carla? And they looked at me, you know her? I said, I have a cell phone. So how the hell did you get her cell phone? I said, well, she worked here as a journey person. She went up the ranks here. She was sector chief, and then she went to Washington. So that's how we got stuff down here in the small towns. It's
Right.
if you were lucky to know people that moved up, believe me, I called all of them every time I needed something. They were awesome.
And that was the right
Uh,
person. Carla's a good people.
Yeah, man. She when Trump came down, she came down too, and she saw me. She goes out there, gives me this big hug, and she freaking bear hugs me, man. Picks me up. Everybody around me looked at her like, "What are you doing?" And she got a long time no see. We hit it off from the beginning, so she's a great person. Anyways, let's get back to it because I can see Benny's looking at me wrong. Anyways,
Giving
hey,
you the awful.
yeah, he's giving ya me da ojo el güey. And I, what, one of the things is it says, one of the questions was, give us an example of day in the life of a Border Patrol agent. I mean, for people that don't know, I mean,
Right. Basically, Border Patrol agents are self-motivators, self-starters. We have very little supervision out there, and I want to say that we're loose cannons, but we'll go in at 8 o'clock, say 8 o'clock briefing, 7 o'clock briefing. We'll sit through, get all the information for that day, what's happening from the shift prior. They'll call in areas that had, and this was back in the day, that had a lot of high traffic and had people coming in through that area, or agents that are still out chasing. So you could go meet up with them and take over the chase if they wanted you to, if they wanted to go in, or you go down to the line or down to the river and start looking for sign. We have areas called the River Trail, and then we have the drag roads, which is along the border fence. And somebody there would either go, when I say make a cut, they would drive that stretch of river or drive that stretch of the desert and look for entries, foot sign basically coming across. once that's done, once that's done and it's clear and there's nothing in, he'll go back or somebody will go back and hook up a tire drag. And what they'll do is they'll pull that tire drag along that whole stretch of river or that they're assigned to or the desert and make it. And they'll pull those tires. They're about 4 or 6 across and about 3 or 4 behind those and drag them along that river bottom or river trail and make it as smooth as a baby's bottom.
Yep.
And because you're only pulling at maybe 3 to 4 to 5 miles an hour. So any kind of disturbance on that ground, the agent is going to be able to see, even though you've heard of the shoes, the foam shoes or the carpet shoes. An agent is able to see that, spot that on a smooth drag because it leaves an indention, a square indention. It leaves some kind of disturbance on that ground. So you just continue looking, and then you're going to find where they crossed. And then from there, it's pretty easy. You just start chasing that sign. I always say we're like Labrador retrievers, man. You throw a ball, how far you throw it, you're going to chase it till you find it. And that's what agents are. They'll chase it. They'll chase it till they find it. So it's pretty easy. I mean, it sounds easy, but I mean, you're talking about danger too, because you're making these cuts, looking for sign at night, and you have your head hanging out a window with a flashlight or a spotlight looking for sign, foot sign. And at any time you're vulnerable to a gunshot, you're vulnerable to somebody in the brush hacking you with a machete. It's very easy to get hurt while you're doing that kind of work. So that's kind of the day. It's pretty easy, pretty simple, but you're always listening to the radio traffic, listening for sensors. Sensors basically meaning they're in-ground sensors that any kind of disturbance will send a signal back to headquarters. The radio will call that out to the area that needs to get responding to. You go directly to that area and you see what caused the disturbance there. They have seismic, which would be for foot traffic. It takes the cadence of a foot, how you walk, and it shows you how many hits are going through that area. Or you have magnetic. The magnetics were used for vehicle traffic, which will be put on either side of a bridge to let you know that, hey, there's something coming through that area, or on desolate roads out in the middle of the desert where nobody's at.
Hey, Joe, really quick, man, your border patrol agents are excellent trackers, man. I learned a lot from them. I used them in my own investigative skills, but I actually, we had a stabbing on Camacho Road in Calexico, and the guy took off on us, and we're chasing him around. We called border patrol, and I knew what they were looking. And it was funny because some of my new guys didn't understand it, but I said, "Hey, we're looking for two pairs of footprints." I said, "One's a target, and the other one's a running W." And all the cholos had running W ones because the Air Cortez, the Cortez Nikes have that W design in the bottom,
Right.
like the Charlie Brown thing in the bottom of his shirt, and then the Target ones were usually Reeboks. So it's I learned that from your guys. Your guys taught me so much how to track. They caught our guys that had done the stabbing at that place, and it's like every time we needed something, if Border Patrol didn't have a canine, you guys had some agents back in the days, and I'm talking about these guys probably started in the 80s, maybe late 70s, 80s, 90s, because I got to work with some great agents, when I was on
Right.
patrol, and I worked patrol all the way to 2000 and I want to say 2002, 2003, and these guys were excellent, man.
Yeah.
Excellent tracker. Hats off. I mean, if people don't understand what trackers are, these guys, I mean, they'll find the people, and like you said,
Yeah.
they're like bloodhounds. They don't stop until they find it. They tell you what direction. They can tell you how heavy the guy is, how tall he might be is just by the lengths of when the guy was running, if he was
Right.
running,
Right.
and how deep he stepped on. It was like a couple of a half an inch, quarter inch, and they can give you approximate, man. And I was very impressed, man.
Yeah,
And
I know
and and
they could tell you the stride, and two, if they're walking backwards on you, they
yep,
used to like to do that a lot, you know. But yeah, we had guys that could do it. You know, they even they would track you on train tracks
yep.
on the you know on the I can't remember what they call them, the wood part of the train tracks on the on there, you know, with the oil and everything would leave indentions. So yeah, they're BP Border Patrol are good trackers.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Hey, another question here that I have for you, and I mean,
Sure.
we've all probably have all asked ourselves this before. If you could go back in your career, would you change anything that you've done or you did?
You know, not really, because I had a career that, you know, and I get told by a lot of people, a lot of agents that are still there, said, you know, I was very lucky because the path I took was investigating gangs. And that was back in 2000, you know, to where we started in 98, 99, 2000. And it just blossomed from there to where I was starting to be, you know, after about 5, 6 years, I was starting to be requested to go, anywhere in the United States, anywhere Border Patrol stations, all throughout the United States. And it got even better to where um, I was traveling to Brazil to give training up in Rio de Janeiro, and I mean, you know, you give a 2 hour, class, and you know what, you get 5 days in Rio. What better can you do? Obviously, I had to do a little surveillance on the beach, you know, but you know, you never know. And then I did training in Central America, so I was always able to go different places. I was very seldom at home. When I say at home, at the office, because I was always traveling somewhere. So I don't really think I could have had it any better than what I had it. You know,
Yeah.
I was just happy. I'm glad that my supervisors and my chiefs all believed in me, and you know, I hope everything came back to put a good light on the patrol on what we did.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
beautiful answer, Joe. Because
awesome,
you know what?
awesome
Not that
answer.
many people can answer like that. What a beautiful answer, man. That's great.
I appreciate it.
So, Joe,
Talk to you, Benny.
Is that Benny?
during your Border
That's
Patrol
it.
career, was there a case or an incident that stands out the most in your mind, something that still stays in your mind?
You know, Benny, I knew that question was coming, and I thought about it hard, you know, because it was something that I had so many things that happened, you know, throughout the career, being uniformed and non-uniformed. But I think I would have to go back to 2010. On I was in Tucson on a detail, and my phone rang about 2 in the morning, and it was Chuck Scoville, God rest his soul, who passed during COVID, called me, and he said, "Hey, Joe," and Chuck was involved with Remen at that time, the Rocky Mountain, I believe, Intelligence Network is what it was, and he says, "Hey, Joe, I need your help," but I said, "Well, what do you got, Chuck? It's 2 in the morning, dude." He says we just had a New Jersey trooper run over in New Jersey by a person that just drug him for 800 feet because the trooper tried to get in the vehicle, and the guy just took off and made some turns, and the trooper finally flung off and was laid up in a ditch. He called me and said, "This is what we need." They're calling me. We put an emergency trace on the guy's phone. He says, "We need somebody that understands the language," which was, you know, the guy was a cholo, or, you know, I don't know, a gang member. And he spoke in that terminology, which I was familiar with. And he says, I need for you, if you would, translate for me on this." I said, "Sure, Chuck, what do you got?" Man, I got up, sat at the desk. They were sending me files, audio files, like within seconds of the calls. and I was translating them, and I was sending them back to them. And this went on and on and on. And they were able to pinpoint him. I was able to pinpoint him by what he was saying about landmarks, a barn and this and that. His mom was on the phone talking to him. I was relaying all that information. And bottom line is they were able to subdue this guy and catch him and arrest him. And he did go to jail. I basically went to prison for what he had, the assault on the trooper. But, that to me right there was the most satisfying, being able to, help out on something like that and use the knowledge that I had that was basically learned off of the streets growing up, and listening to these guys speak and being able to translate verbatim to help these guys take off this bad guy.
Wow.
You said it earlier,
Joe,
Joe. You said it earlier, Joe, by saying listen. We got to listen to people when they talk. We learn from what they say.
Right.
In other words, cállate, chalo.
Hey, Joe, tell us the difference between BORTAC and BORSTAR.
Okay. BORTAC is going to be basically the Border Patrol Tactical Unit. They would be like the equivalent to SWAT and the federal system with Border Patrol. Those guys are high speed, low drag. They go through an extensive academy, their own BORTAC academy. Those guys are something to behold. They work hard, play hard. They do a lot. They're they train in repelling, they train in weapons, all that kind of stuff, hand to hand. So they're very good. They're very good. Like if Border Patrol has any type of issues on smuggling down along the river, and it's that bad to where there's 8 aliens being harassed or actually being victimized, there's been times that they've sent them down into the brush, and sometimes the smuggler doesn't come back out. BORSTAR is will be the there would be traumatic search and rescue of the Border Patrol. They perform also at a very high level. Their search and rescue. They're able to perform, give IVs or all kinds of different type of medical treatment, enough to get the patient, the victim, out and get them to a medical, facility, get them transported out. So, but both of these units are very good and very well respected, I believe, within the federal community. So I have a lot of friends that are BORTACers and BORSTAR guys, and you know what? They're both of those guys are all heroes there.
Yeah. All of you are heroes, definitely, without a doubt. Joe, tell us a little bit about what is IGLIA. I know you're a board member. I believe you're a founding member. Tell us, and what type of training do they provide? And do you have any upcoming training that you'd like for our law enforcement officers that are watching the show to attend?
Okay. IGLIA is IGLIA, is International Latino Gang Investigators Association. And what it is it was founded in about 2002. And that was the first time I actually went to one of their functions. It was in Egg Harbor, New Jersey. And the only reason I went to that is because we were starting to see a lot of the Mara Salvatrucha coming through. Anybody know Pablo Martinez?
No.
He's giving a call right now. But anyway, Mara Salvatrucha was, we were starting to see him here in Yuma. And I had no idea what they were about or who they were or anything like that. But they had a UC Honduran that was going to be speaking there. And I was able to talk to my assistant chief, and I was able to fly out there and get the information, all the information I needed to get back. So at that time, that was about in 2002. And I became a member, well, at that time, and I continued on. And I believe right around 2007, 2008, I came on as a not a member, but one on the board. I came in as a sergeant at arms at that time. At this time, since then, I become the vice president of the International Latino Gang Investigators Association. And what we do is provide training. You don't have to be Latino gang investigator, Latino gang investigator, but you do have to be, investigating Latino gangs, Hispanic gangs. So you'll get the most out of our organization association, because we do bring in speakers that have experience, have worked undercover, have worked with them, cases against gangs of the Hispanic culture, 18th Street, Dogpatch, Pacoima, all these guys, Mexican Mafia. We've had speakers from all genres come in there and speak of, hey, this is what we can show you and what we're doing. We're having that. The next one we're having for ILGIA will be in San Bernardino. It's on May 25th, I believe, through the 26th. And that'll be in San Bernardino. And you can get more information on that at ilgiaonline.org. And you'll be able to see what do you call it? On the menu list, go down to the training. And you'll also see the one that I coordinate in Las Vegas, which will be in August 7th through the 10th. Of this year. So either one of those, go on there. You want to register. You will have to be vetted. So, it's not open to the public. It is open to sworn law enforcement, probation, parole, things of that nature. So that's what we do there. And we try and get some of the best training that we can.
We got it up right now, ilgia.com. So if somebody wants more information, they could go on there, and then they still have to be vetted to attend the conference. Correct, Joe?
Right. But it'll be ilgiaonline.org.
.org. Okay. I'll make the change.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, real quick, like, since we're all retired, honorably retired law enforcement,
Yes,
will that be good enough for us to attend a class if we wanted to? Or
yes, it would. Oh yeah. Oh no, definitely. All you do is do your registration, put retired. The only one we do a little bit more vetting on is Benny, because we're not real smart over there. But he's
smiling. We got a smile off him. Yeah.
He smiled on that one. That was good.
I told you my smiles are special.
But yeah, we're out there wanting to give the best we can, and we do our best.
Hey, David, you still got it wrong. It's ilgiaonline.org.
Oh, online.org.
Yeah.
Okay. ¿Sabes qué?
Thanks, Chalo.
Thank you, Chalo. We'll definitely fix it. We'll have it on next week, I promise. And I'll make sure Chalo types it. Hey, Joe, listen, man. Thank you for your outstanding.
But you're not going to be here.
De veras, thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for being on our show. You've been a big blessing, not only to us. Benny and I just attended that conference. You and your board and the board members for, I guess, Northern California, IGLIA group treated us like kings. And you know what, Joe? It was an honor having you with us. With that said, Chalo, any last words for Joe?
Hey, like always, Joe, thank you very much, bro. I have a big old place in my heart for law enforcement, but especially for Border Patrol, because you guys, as a Border Patrol unit, you guys saved my ass so many times coming up my career. You guys were my number one backup, and all of you guys, because I know that you guys all think the same. It's a brotherhood that, man, I said, hats off. Muchas gracias y bendiciones.
Yeah, thank
Benny,
you.
any last words for Joe?
Well, thank you, Joe, for being on the show, and I tip my hat to you and all the men in green.
And Benny, thank you for asking me to come on. And like last week, you asked me, and I was honored. I appreciate it. Thank you, and David.
Thank you.
Thank you, Big Sean. Any last words for Joe?
Again, like everybody else said, Joe, thank you very much for coming on our show. And like Chalo, the green uniforms. They're special. You know, it's a dirty job. It's a thankless job, but it's a necessary job along the border.
Right. Hey, David, could I give one shout out real quick?
Most definitely, brother. Yes.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to my cousin, Sister Kathy, retired nun, and I think she kept me in line all my younger years because, she took care of me there pretty good. So, Sister Kathy, if you're listening, hey, God bless you and keep praying for me.
Hey, those sisters, man, they keep everybody in line.
Oh man, yeah.
Sopas.
Exactly.
Hey, Benny, Joe, hold on, Joe. And I want to hats off to all Border Patrol that you guys kept that U.S. Border Patrol patch on. Man, you know, I know they wanted to take it away from you guys and wanted you guys just to wear that other one, but you guys fought hard, and hats off, man. You guys, I mean, that to me is it defines who you guys are. And if you guys they would have gotten rid of that little round patch that says U.S. Border Patrol, it would have been bad.
Well, you know, you could tell the guys that have been in for quite a while, and if they tell you they're a single patch, then you know what they're talking about.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, una vez más, mil gracias to you for your service, and prayers to all our men and women in green holding down the line. Joe, thank you. We will see you. Hopefully, some of these gentlemen are going to be seeing you in May at the San Bernardino conference. Thank you, and God bless you, Joe.
God bless you. Thank you much.
All right, thank you. Guys, what an outstanding show, huh? Man, talking about, I mean, hearing it from one of the legends in law enforcement holding down the line. Beautiful. With that said, Benny, it's all yours. I know you wanted to recognize somebody. Let me know when you're ready for the video, and I'll go ahead and put it up. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Benny.
I want to do a shout out for Deputy Dustin Weston of the Imperial County Sheriff's Department. He created the very first autism patch for the department. Let's watch the video of Dustin. It was produced by the Imperial County Sheriff's Office
in North Carolina. And 3 years ago, I moved to the Valley for family and began my career here at the Sheriff's Office.
Deputy Wester, could you tell me about this patch that you've created for the Sheriff's Office?
I've created and designed an autistic awareness patch for Imperial County Sheriff's Office for us to show support to our community in Imperial County and the autism community all around. The patch was created so we could bring awareness to our community as well as sell the patch to officers to bring funds to the charity to give back to that community as well.
Beautiful.
Dustin is one heck of a guy, very dedicated to the department. You know, big shout out to him. Thank you, Dustin.
Benny, if also you want to talk about our next week's guest.
Sure. Next week, we're going to have Carlos Chacon, a retired San Diego police sergeant. You know, during his career, Carlos Chacon investigated street gangs and prison gangs. Sergeant Chacon was the original member of the San Diego PD's border area robbery force, which came to be known as BARF. In the mid-1970s, the San Diego Canyons had become a death trap of nightly stabbings, shootings, beatings, and rapes as bandits from Mexico terrorized illegal aliens making the journey to the U.S. The stories became the 1984 nonfiction book by Joe Wamba, bestseller, Lights and Shadows. So we're going to have Carlos in. And I mean, isn't it something? I mean, we're talking about the border with Carlos working that famous, Lights and Shadows. And we just had Joe talking about the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, wow. It's going to be an outstanding show. And guys, one of the last things, 3 minutes, no more than 3 to 4 minutes. Every show, at the end of the show, we're going to talk about current events, and Sean will be handling that. Sean, it's all yours.
I'll make it real quick. Everybody's been talking about this incident in Texas where the guy went and shot 5 or 8 people and killed 5, including an 8-year-old boy. Fox News is just putting out, they've got a live press conference right now. He is in custody. It looks like he was arrested here in the States, which is surprising considering he's been deported like 5 times. But yeah, they've got him here in custody now, and that's just about it. And I just do want to give a big shout out to one of our former pilots in San Diego, Tristan Gonzalez. he was on his bike, and it looks like he got hit by a vehicle, and I think they're going to carry it as a assault with a deadly weapon type of incident instead of a hit and run. But I hope he recovers in the hospital better.
Most definitely. Chalo, does it surprise you that they caught him here in the United States?
No, it does not, because this guy knew, since he was a prior deport, he probably figured they know I'm going to go south, so they're going to be looking for me down there. He probably said, you know what, I'll just roll the dice and try to get. Not only that, just the fact that we work so well with the Mexican liaisons down there, that if he would have gone south, we probably would have caught him sooner. It's near the
no
state.
doubt. They're already set up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he had four prior deportations. Four.
Yeah.
And then said he was caught in a city in Texas by the name of Cut and Shoot. That's the name of the city.
Yeah, apparently somebody dropped a dime and they started pinging.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's how they found him. And they found him in a closet under a bunch of clothes, dude.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah.
These
Well,
guys are cowards.
So now they're going to send him to the hang him high city in Texas.
Yeah.
That's right. That's true. Hey guys, well listen, guys, we've been on for 1 hour 16. I think we broke the record today, but it wasn't in vain. It was a great show. Sean, any your last words, and then we'll go around counterclockwise. Go ahead, Sean.
Those guys still out and working in the field, live tactically, be safe.
Big Benny.
A reminder for those working in that thin blue line: prepare the fight of your life. Fight dirty, get tough, get mean, train, know the job, do not hesitate, stay in the fight and survive. And remember, experience comes from mistakes.
Chalo.
Hey, like I've always said mine, like always, integrity means everything in this job. Your name is what makes you. I mean, you make the badge doesn't make you.
Excellent. And guys, remember, live a purpose-driven life. You're never too old to volunteer. You're never too young to volunteer. The more you give, the more you receive. Live every day like it's your last day on earth, and may our ending be greater than our beginning. God bless you and have a great week.